couple of pro heavyweights in Gleason's gym, a guy called Art Tucker. I can't remember the other heavyweight's name. And I impressed Al Gavin and Bob Jackson in my sparring. And they said, there's a young heavyweight in the Catskills called Mike Tyson looking for sparring partners. I'd never heard of Mike Tyson. He was knocking men out left, right, and centre. I didn't know this. I was just happy to hear that he was 17, actually 6 months younger than me. Anyway, when we got to the Catskills, I was introduced to Cuss, Camille, Marnie, Tom Patty, a lot of other people that were there. And then I got to meet Mike. And Mike came out and greeted me, and he was smaller than me, and he was younger than me, and he spoke with a bit of a lisp. And I thought, I'm going to batter him. You know, Eugene, I didn't know.
Joe, you're a smart man.
I didn't know what he was doing. You know, he was phenomenal. Anyway, we got on really well. We spoke about the history of Irish boxing, and we spoke and we walked and we talked and had dinner and watched films, old boxing footage. He had the top of the house, and he had access to the biggest collection of fight footage ever. Suddenly all these big, powerful men appeared. So I thought they're going to be boxing with each other, and us two boys are going to be boxing with each other. But these guys were walking like they were going to the gallows. But they knew what was coming. Stupid Paddy here didn't know what was coming. You know, I didn't know what he was doing to men. He was a wrecking machine. And I look around, and Mike was in the ring, pacing the ring. Now, the only way you can describe it is like the lion in the cage in the zoo. He was pacing up and down, and he had his shirt off. And his physique was incredible, Eugene. His biceps, his traps, his chest, his neck. He was just an incredible specimen of a man at 17. Anyway, Cuss pointed to one of the big, powerful men to get into the ring to spar. He was knocked spark out. And I tell people, I ruined a good pair of underpants at that moment in time. I shit myself. I thought, oh my God, there's no way this 17-year-old boy should have this power. Anyway, a couple more got in. They were knocked out. I was number 4. I got in. I got battered for 3 minutes. But I lasted longer than the 3 previous sparring partners. Anyway, the madness in me, I thought, one of these days I'm going to get the better of you, Mike. I never did. I stayed on with him for 2 years. Very proud to say he never put me down in them 2 years. He made me cry. He made me cry so many times, hurt me so many times. But I stayed on my feet with him. And boxing can be a lot of psychological warfare. You know, sometimes fighters can be beat before the first bell rings. But psychologically, I believed if I could take Mike Tyson's punishment, I could take anybody's punishment. I'm going to tell you, when Mike Tyson came to visit my mum in Dublin, this particular day, we were speaking, and he said, how's your mother, Joe? I said, she's not so good, Mike. She had a lump removed from her neck. She had 7 stitches put into her neck. We were worried about it being a cancer lump. My Uncle Brian, my mum's brother, died at 47 with cancer, God rest him. And we were very concerned because my mother's a heavy smoker. So we said, let's go and visit your mother, Joe. So now they're meeting for the first time. Anyway, they got talking about birthdays. Mike's birthday's the 30th of June. My mum's birthday is the 12th of July. Both of the same birth sign, which is Cancer. Anyway, Mike said, Mrs. Egan, he said, I remember on my 18th birthday, 22 years previous, because I was with Mike when we were 17, he said, you sent over a shoebox with some potato chips. It would have been Irish potato crisps. He said some money in an envelope. It would have been very little money, Eugene. And some sweatshirts, some probably second-hand sweatshirts. Yeah. And my mother looked at Mike Tyson and she said, you remember that, Mike? He says, Mrs. Egan, he said, very few people have given me anything in my life. Yes, I remember that. This man could have been a billionaire athlete. 22 years previous, remembering a couple of packets of crisps, a couple of pounds in an envelope, and a couple of second-hand sweatshirts.
That's now,
at that stage, my mother started crying, and he's embracing my mother. I broke down crying. Now, Mike looked at me, excuse the language, I don't curse. But this is what Mike Tyson said, Joe, motherfucker, you're always crying. He made me cry so many times. And like I said, even with what Mike has achieved in life, I don't envy what he's had to endure in his life. I had hard times, but Mike Tyson had a lot harder than what I had. Growing up, running wild in Brownsville as 10 years of age, trying to fend for himself. You know, I didn't have to endure something like that. Mike Tyson did. And even with what he's achieved, I don't envy his life. When I got to meet you, Eugene, that was at the Tyson gig in Old Trafford. And then We got chatting. We just had an instant bond there, friendship.
There you
Both
go.
being massive boxing fans and both being in love with the acting. You know,
Yeah.
you at the time, you were doing a movie called Ghostwood with Patrick Bergen.
Oh, long time ago. Yeah, that's
I
right.
remember.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming over for the show in Birmingham, and you brought some of the production people over for the Ricky Hatton
Correct.
show. And I
Correct.
remember you telling me about your boxer dog.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yes,
Wow,
yeah.
you remember everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
of
And you know
course,
what?
yeah.
Do you know
And,
what, Joe? I remember as well, and I have to thank you for this. The first time that I met Tyson that night, and you introduced me to him,
yeah.
and he said to me, he says, any friend of Joe's is a friend of mine.
He's always made me so proud, you know, with the way he speaks about me, the way he embraces my family, the way he embraces my friends. He has always made me so proud. And I'm very proud to say he's my friend. You know, he's a man that's had to endure so much in life, so much in the boxing world, the way he's been abused and treated like a piece of meat. But I love him dearly. And just to be able to, I do boast about him being my friend. Yes, I do boast about it.
Absolutely.
People say to me, Joe, you've milked this. I said, I've earned the right to milk this. I've earned the right, and I will
The hard
continue
way.
to milk it. I will continue to milk it. You know, until my last breath, I will talk about the beatings that Mike Tyson gave me, and I stayed on my feet and I took them. You know.
Well, there you go. I mean, look, I wanted to hear about that today. So people want to hear this story. And I have a little message actually from Tyson, and I'm sure of course, you've spoken to him since, but the last time that I met him was in Vegas a couple of years ago. And I didn't expect him to remember me or anything like this, but I told him who I was. I told him I'm a friend of Joe Egan's, and his face lit up as soon as I said your name. Now, we spoke for a few moments, took a few photographs. But when I was leaving, he said, you tell Joe, I said, what's up? And as I was leaving, I looked back and he kind of had his hand on his head like this and he was shaking his head. Said, oh man, Joe Egan, good times, good times. That's all he was doing. But it was a nice little moment.
He signed the shorts. I've got the shorts that he boxed in 3 times. He boxed
the
once.
Green ones.
No, they were my Irish shorts. I swapped them.
Yeah, because you swapped for one fight, didn't you?
He boxed 2 times as a pro in my Irish international shorts, but I swapped him for his American international shorts that he boxed once as an amateur. He boxed Hank and Brock for America against Sweden. Then he boxed twice as a professional in them. So I swapped in my Irish white and green shorts, and he boxed in my Irish white and green shorts. But I've got his American shorts. Years later, we're in Birmingham. And I said, Mike, will you sign? He said, you still got them? I said, of course I've still got them. I'll treasure them for life. And he signed them. They were good times.
Oh, fantastic. There you go.
There you go. I've got them.
So you know my story is true. The exact same words.
He wrote on my shorts. They were good times. We did have some great times, me and him. You know, we had a lot of fun together, you know, and we're still laughing together all these years on. I'm very proud to say, like I say, Eugene, he's my friend. He's my friend.
And he goes up to him. Your dad is such a character. And I spoke to him on the phone. He's a lovely man.
Yeah.
The original Joe Egan, I call him.
Yes.
But he walked right up to Tyson and real serious. And the eyebrow was up.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm training hard, but I'm not ready for you yet.
Yes. Mike Tyson just started laughing. He said, you're going to fight the real Big Joe. He said, don't worry.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
I'm training hard, he said, for you. Mike laughed. Mike went in the fits of laughing. But that's the type of guy. Mike and my dad got drunk many times. Right? One time in the UK, they're standing at the bar, and Mike's got his arm around my dad. My dad's got his arm around Mike. 6 o'clock in the morning at the hotel bar. And I was sitting with friends of mine, Paul Underhill and his son Adam and his son Charlie. And we're sitting and we're looking, and the two of them slumped over each other. 6 o'clock in the morning. But Mike loves my dad, and my dad loves Mike, and my mum loves him as well. And for my mum used to speak to Mike on the phone, and she used to say, "Oh, Mike, thank you so much for looking after my son Joe. He was battering me week in, week out, but my mum was thanking him for looking after me. You know,
fantastic.
And that's the camaraderie and the friendship that we have. He helped me become the man I am today.